Okay, the checkered flag has flown and the race is over, and now we're going to rant a little bit about it. My name is RB Turner, and here with me, my co-host is, say your name, Kolby.
Kolby.
He's Kolby Petersen, and we are here with last night's AMP Racing League Cup Series winner from Kansas. Well, at Kansas. He is not from Kansas, but he won at Kansas. This is Michael Moquin. What's up, man?
What's going on, guys?
It's good you're here. You like my intro? All right, go ahead, Kolby.
No, it's good. He wrote it down and everything. I think it's adorable. I love it. Not to mention his sultry voice. He's got a voice for radio. You know what I mean?
He does. He
Yeah,
definitely
I do?
does.
Yeah, you do.
Oh,
you really
that's it.
do. That's
the
not
best
even
thing anybody's
bullshit
ever
either.
said.
That's for real.
It's the best
But-
thing everybody's ever said.
Anyway, Mr. Michael, a big winner last night in a race that started out as an absolute dumpster fire. Why don't you talk us through, say, the first 30 laps, 35 laps a stage, and then how you was able to manage the fuel and the tires from 35 to 133.
So started race there. It was a bit crazy. A couple quick cautions there right off the rip. Just trying to survive there beginning, just figure out how everybody else was running with those next gen cars. Aero is 100% like name of the game with those cars. So just trying to stay alive, trying not to run over other people, try not to get myself either tight or loose and cause issues for myself in particular, not just for other people, but mostly for myself. But yeah, those first couple cautions allowed me to kind of work my way up from the back, basically from 17th, from where I started. And it was just pacing it out, just trying to figure out the car, figure out the track, because I only ran 10 laps of tests all week, and it was literally like 10 minutes before the lobby opened, and then practice in the lobby was completely different. So I was just like, well, I was struggling in the practice of the actual lobby itself. So I'll just kind of ride around, figure out the car, figure out how it's going to handle, see what changes I need to make individually or my lines and things like that. But I figured it out pretty quickly on what line I needed to run, and compared to everybody else. It seemed like everybody else wanted to kind of run more or less in the middle and the high line, which, yes, the high line almost anywhere. High line's always going to have the momentum coming off the corner because you don't have to slow down as much. So you're able to carry that speed coming out, which in turn, in some places, the rear tires don't heat up as much. So you're not slipping and sliding. We're running the bottom, kind of like how I was most of the night. If you don't set it up properly, if you just throw it into the corner, it'll actually heat up your tires. And tire wear is a big name in the game. So yeah, getting through those cautions, was able to work my way up to ninth by the end of the stage, just trying to mitigate as much loss that I had at the start to just work my way up. And I kind of figured in those 35 laps that I was able to drive and catch the field and catch them pretty quickly, because before the stage break, I was able to get up to third. And as soon as I got behind Chris, coming off of two, like I said earlier, the rear tires were just hot. It got me loose and shot me to the inside, almost to the inside wall. So that shuffled me all the way to the back again. So I was like, well, I just need to calm down and just drive through. And that's what I did. Got to ninth and by the end of the stage. So got the stage points for that, which was good momentum. And then from there, it just carried on, restarted eighth at the stage, and just figured out that I could run those people down at the front again. Got to the front, got that 2-second gap going into the green flag pit stops, got a good clean pit stop, came back out and still had almost a 2-second lead, and just for the rest of the race just kept it going. And
I felt like it was hard to run the bottom.
It was
for me.
It was
really
so like, honestly, the amount of time that I was out of throttle in the corner was actually pretty crazy from what I thought, but I was still able just to slowly work my way further and further away from the field. And I think it just came down to throttle control. And same as last season, because I got the win at Kentucky last season.
I led some laps in that race.
So like, the thing was that was when they changed the update the week before as well. They changed that car that week as well. And same thing with this one. On Tuesday, we got the whole 750 horsepower package with the A-pillar flaps and all that. So the car drove just completely different. And I think for a lot of people, they were trying to figure that out again. But for me, the last time I ran at Kansas with the 600 horsepower package, the original package that they had, you had to either downshift to get the good drive off, or you had to run that high line to basically keep the RPMs up to be able to have that drive off. Where with this 750 horsepower, I could stay off the throttle a little bit longer and just drive. But when it came down to fuel mileage, like truthfully, I was kind of scared. I really was.
I bet you were. I'll tell you what, that's one thing. That's one thing that I was saying. My strategy with my team when that one caution come out, I was like, if we pit now, we could probably go one stop and that's it. Everybody else is gonna have to pit again. I was so sure that everybody was gonna have to pit like within the last 10 laps that I wasn't worried at all. I thought, I thought Ryan was gonna get the win. I was probably gonna get second. Roberts was gonna get third. I was so sure that everybody was gonna have to pit, and it got done to like 5 to go, 4 to go, 3 to go. I'm like, come on, guys. Like, what's going on? Nobody. How did you save that fuel, man?
So honestly and truthfully, when the green flag pit stops came around, I was actually 0.3 laps left on fuel. And I was like, well, so coming to the line, I had like, I think 0.9 at the stripe. I was like, well, it's either going to be just messed all of this up, or I'm just going to get super lucky and get to my pit stall and be fine. And then watching my race labs and my fuel calculator on race labs, it was like, oh, you're like 0.5 to the good coming out of the pits. I was like, sweet, awesome, cool. I just nailed this on the head. If I keep running the same line, keep this 2-second gap, like keep this clean air, I'm golden. And then it dropped to like 1 under. I'm like, no, I'm out of this. I'm just going to run it until I run out of fuel. Coming to the checker flag to stripe, I had, I think, 6 laps of fuel left.
That was impressive.
And when I did that, like I crossed that line, I was like, I need to do at least one donut, just one burnout. I'll be happy. And I shut the car off and just rolled all the way back around to the stripe. When I got back to the stripe, I had 0.2 laps
Just
left.
enough.
Just enough to do literally 3 donuts. And that was it. The car shut off. I was like, okay, I'm good. We're done. So honestly, the tires didn't fall off as bad as I thought they were. The right front was... I thought I was cooking the right front, but whenever I did the pit stop and got rid of those tires, they were only at 57%. Like I didn't get my low tire warning, nothing. I'm usually bad about tire conservation. Like I'm horrible at tire conservation.
Probably 80% of this league is, if we're going to be honest with everybody about it.
And most of the guys that run up front, they're a little bit better on that tire conservation. But yeah, I was like, well, I'm probably going to burn off my right fronts like I always do. And it's just going to push. Well, surprisingly, I was able to stick that line the entire time. I was able to drive in a little bit deeper into the corners, but I had it set up to where I was already kind of arcing into the corner as I'm coming off the throttle. So like my car's not shifting. It's not shooting up the track, eating those tires up more. And then
do a 4-wheel slide into the corner like a lot of people do.
And I think that's what a lot of people were having an issue with, because closer to the end, I mean, obviously K-Spear and Steven, they both were slowly running me down there at the end, but that was because I was kind of mirror driving. I was looking at my relatives. I'm like, man, these guys are catching me. Like I don't know what I'm going to be able to do.
No,
That's
I'm
the
glad
problem when you're leading the race. The only thing you can think about leading the race is what could possibly go wrong.
Yeah.
That and whatever can possibly go wrong, that is going wrong at that moment.
And honestly, that was the fuel. That was for me. That was the fuel for me, because I was more worried about the fuel than I didn't care. As long as I finished top 3, I would have been fine. After last weekend at Wilkesboro, I lost 11 points in basically 11 positions in the standings. So I was like, well, I'm done. And I like short tracks. I'm horrible at short tracks. I have like the worst luck when it comes to it, because I push a little too hard because I know I can do it, but I overstep my personal boundaries. And when I do, that's when everything goes wrong. And at Wilkesboro, that's basically what happened. Like I was in a rhythm, but I was like, I can push it just a little bit more. And when I pushed it that little bit more, it just done.
I'm glad you brought up the mirror driving, though. And Jason said as much on the broadcast. He goes, that looks like he's mirror driving, And the thing that I think a lot of people, whether they run iRacing or not, or just watch NASCAR on television, they don't understand how much Aero is built into these cars, especially for that trail car, right? Like, I used to listen to Door Bumper Clear every single week. Dale Jr. talked a lot about that. The first 2 years of this car, when he would interview current drivers, he'd be like, it's crazy that y'all can't drive in on somebody's bumper, even at a short track. Even at a short track, you lose the entire front end of the car because, the Gen 4 end of the car tomorrow and that stuff, you could drive in on somebody's bumper, and the car was built to do that, right? And so NASCAR has been chasing its tail in that kind of way of like, how do we make closing in on the leader and then staying with the leader possible without giving a total advantage to the rear car, for drafting at the bigger tracks and then obviously using the chrome horn on short tracks, right? So like my question, my honest to God question is, because I after I ended up 22 laps down, and I'll say this, and Jason said it on the broadcast, Kansas has a way of making you feel like Superman. Right? The problem is a whole bunch of people last night sure as shit forgot to put their capes on. I mean, it was a joke for 25 laps. And it seems like every time we race that track, and it doesn't really matter what league at this point, every time we go to Kansas, the first 20 laps are an absolute dumpster fire. And then everybody's like, okay, that's enough. And then it runs green for 100 laps. Right? So my big question is running that low line, because I ran that the rest of the race. I obviously had no skin in the game. By the time I got my car fixed, got back on track, I had one position I could gain. And the way the race was going, I was like, I should be able to get 4 or 5 more spots here. But that was also the last caution of the race. Running that low line and the amount of time you brought up, like the time off throttle running that low line, do you think that's what got you there on the fuel? Or were you having to lift even earlier than that to preserve that last 0.3 a lap?
So honestly and truthfully, I think the way that I was able to save a little bit of fuel wasn't just the time off throttle, but when I was getting back on the throttle, I wasn't just hammered down getting back on throttle. And I think that's what a lot of people were doing, was they were coming off, and as they basically got to the center of the corner, they were just full throttling, and either they warmed their tires up too much and it caused them to get tight, which also adds to the wear of the tire. But the other thing was, if you're not careful, it could also get you loose. And 2 is notorious because
coming
the way
off
that the
2
wind
is a joke.
So the way the wind was coming, the wind was coming from over the top of the corner down into the track, where in 3 and 4, it was going the opposite way. And even at 7 miles an hour, that's a lot to a car. And
it is. Might as well
coming
be a
off,
hurricane.
coming off of the 2, it's just going to get you loose, because you're used to the wind pushing you down the track. So you're able to put in the throttle a little bit more. But when you get to 3 and 4, you're like, oh, I could take this corner the same exact way. Now you're pushing up the track. And I think that's what was happening with a lot of people. They could full throttle it out of 2, but out of 4, they weren't able to. And they were having to come back out of the throttle to get back in it, which was causing them to lose a lot of time or get up in the wall or whatever it may be. But I actually, on both ends of the track, just slowly, like, I think I was 3/4 of the throttle all the way up until the car was straight, and then I hammered down and was gone. And I think that's what's helped save tires, pretty much save tires, because I'm not pushing up the track. I'm not pushing down the track. I'm wrapping that apron as best as I could. But as the race went on, obviously it was a little harder to keep the car down the track, because everybody was kind of more or less arcing it, so the rubber was starting to build up off the exit. It wasn't so bad in going in, because nobody was going low going into the corner. So I was able to put my tires down there where there's a little bit more grip. And as the track rubbered up, it slowly will push you up. And you can see that if you have your settings set correctly. I mean, you can actually see the track blacken up, and you can tell where everybody's running. And a lot of people, I think, were noticing that. So they were trying to change their lines as they were going, and it kind of cost them a little bit as well. So that goes along with the whole mirror driving. Everybody's trying to drive away from everybody else, instead of just staying what works with them. And I found what worked for me. And I was like, I don't care where everybody else is. Like, if I have to adjust because of the Aero, because it's pushing me tighter or whatever it may be. But like I said, once you get out front or get enough of a gap, where usually on these next-gen cars at intermediate tracks, at the 1.5s or even the short tracks, a lot of times it's only like a half a second gap. Once you get that gap, the air's not that bad. It's still bad, but once you get to that second gap, it's like having a fresh air in front of the car, and you can just drive the way you want to drive it. So with everybody else being all cluttered together, it was kind of harder for everybody to drive. And I think if everybody was able to spread out just a little bit from each other, it wouldn't have been so bad. But everybody was wanting to run the same line. They just wanted to play follow the leader more than they wanted to just drive their own race. And that was the biggest thing, is like, I try to drive my own race, unless it's a actual draft. Like, you have to have the draft to kind of get an advantage. Yes, the 1.5s, the intermediates, the draft does play an effect, but you got to get so close to that person. And with those rear diffusers, yes, it kind of cleans the air coming off the car a little bit, but at the same time, with how low the front ends are on those cars, it will also push that front diffuser down. And when it does that, now you're dragging the track, and you're basically lifting. You don't have a good contact patch on the front tires.
And I get the feeling that's why it's so hard to drive in on somebody at these 1.5 miles, or even like the bigger short track, your Richmond, or, you know, even when you get into like Phoenix or Dover. I don't consider those short tracks, even though a lot of people do. It is, with this particular car, it is really hard to drive in on somebody, because you do bounce that splitter so bad off the front that it picks your tires up, right? And now you're driving with 30 or 40% of your front tires versus 80 or 90, depending on the setup of the car. And again, going back to it, like, you know, as much as Jason did say, you know, it makes you feel like Superman. And I really do enjoy Kansas. I've never, not in my entire life, finished in the top 10 or the top 20 at any single Kansas race I've ever ran, in any car, in any league, in any official, ever. Because Kansas lends itself to rewarding you earlier and then biting you in the ass at the end, right? So, and like RB said, you know, when you're out in front like you are, with the gap that you had, you're sitting there every time you let off the throttle to go in the corner, you're like, no caution, no caution, no caution, no caution. Get back on the gas, straighten the car out. No caution, no caution, no caution, no caution, right? So, and I don't know if you've had a chance to watch the broadcast back, but things got squirrely there at the end. I mean, Steven was coming. K-Spear had you for a second, you know, and so I guess for me, at the end of the day, Kansas was what Kansas is. And it does one of two things. I personally believe that Kansas can set up for the second most boring race you've ever seen in your life, or one of the most exciting races you've ever seen.
There's a lot of really good racing at Kansas. So, I mean, if you go back and look at the broadcast, he was only really looking at the leader, like at the very end of the race. Other than that, most of the time he was like mid-pack. You know, look at this race over here. There's 5 cars racing over here. You know, it has some really good racing. But, you know, I see your point to an extent.
Every now and again, a squirrel gets its nuts busted. You know, that's just the way it works, right? And so, and Michael, one of the things we've talked about with pretty much everybody so far, and especially like the first week with Aaron, we felt like season 4 has really lended itself to good competitive racing from the front to 25th or 30th, or however many people load in on a Sunday. Have you, through 4 races if you count the Clash, noticed an element of that with 2 super speedways, a short track, and an intermediate?
Honestly, just because of how many leagues I've ran in and been a part of, we as AMP have probably some of the cleanest racing at the earliest points. And that's been even from when we came in. The Apex team back then in season 2 was Muscarella. When we came in there, I think it was race 5 at Kansas, and we went out, and Matt actually ended up winning, and I ended up taking second in that race. That was our first race in AMP, and it was similar to how it is now. And it's always, whenever you bring in fresh faces like we have this season, because last season 3, we did I think we had like 1, maybe 2 new faces, but from the start, it was all, everybody knew each other, everybody knew how everybody raced, so it was clean from the beginning. Super speedways, I have preached this over and over and over. Super speedways are always the worst races ever, especially at the start of the season, and especially with newer faces. This season, surprisingly, even with running iRacing Super Speedway for the Clash and then Daytona for the first race of the season, has been some of the cleanest racing that I've been a part of. And I say that because the last 3 weeks I've done nothing but run Daytona races, and I've ran them in. I just did a full length Daytona 500 in the Gen 6 car on Saturday. Did the duels for that the Saturday prior. That duel 1 was a complete shit show. Caution fest for 50 laps. The second duel, which unfortunately I did cross the line first, but unfortunately I went below the yellow line to avoid an accident. So I got that kind of stripped from me, and I had to start from the tail end for the 500. But that aside, I'm not even going to start that rant. Our second duel, we ran clean the entire time. I think we had maybe one caution, and that was just because like we were getting like 10 to go or something like that, and everybody decided, well, it's time to go. You know how that goes. Everybody wants, especially when money's on the line, everybody gets a little antsy. So that was clean. And then the 500, it was just a caution fest. And it doesn't matter what car you run. It doesn't matter whether you run the trucks. It doesn't matter whether you run Xfinity, Gen 6, ARCA, Cup cars. You go to any Draft Masters lobby, and it's all the same. Who can get to the front the earliest, and then if they get pushed back, they're going to storm to the front, and they cause just mayhem the entire time. So I'll get off of this tangent now. As far as the racing goes this season, it is probably some of the cleanest racing that we've had with the amount of new faces that we have. I mean, we have a whole new team, DP. That's a whole new set of people. And then there's a couple other new faces spread out as well. And again, we haven't had a full field yet. Like, we haven't had everybody show up. We've had like one or two the first couple races that weren't able to make it. And then this week, we actually had quite a few that weren't able to make it.
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Super Bowl,
which is
Super
understandable.
Bowl Sunday's a toss-up every time.
Yeah, which is understandable.
And then next week's a road course.
Yeah, well, this week we're off due to the 500, which
God bless it. Oh my God,
I'm going. I'll be there. I'll be there at least for Saturday for sure. So I'll be watching the Xfinity and ARCA. Well, sorry, the O'Reilly series and
the Busch Grand National.
Busch Grand National series,
there we
buddy.
go. The Busch Grand Nationals.
Time.
So I'll be there Saturday for that. I'm still working details to get Sunday, hopefully. But if not, it is what it is. I got a TV at the house. I can sit here, watch it, and drink a beer, and still have a good time. But yeah, coming
Beer's
up with the
cheaper
road
at home.
Beer is way cheaper. 100%.
I mean, I'm sorry.
Oh
I'm sorry.
God.
Get a tall boy there at Daytona is like $18. I'm
yeah,
like,
man.
I'll just get a little can and
My
pay
wife
like
and
I
50
try to
cents.
sneak them into the track.
Oh
My
well,
wife and I call them stadium beers. So this is a 16-ounce can of Busch Light. 16-ounce can of Busch Light at
That's
any
what they sell.
stadium or event anywhere you go is a minimum of $14.
So
I went to a Prospect League hockey game in Topeka, Kansas 3 weeks ago. $14 for a 16-ounce can of Busch Light. It wasn't even a good beer. We are talking the water of beers minus Michelob Ultra, which is overpriced and heavily overrated. Stadium beers, that I will say this though, stadium beers taste different. There's
For
just
sure.
something about them. You take that first sip off a stadium beer RB, and it just tastes better at a venue, brother.
and so a little bit of background about me. I joined the Air Force pretty much straight out of high school. Born and raised here in Florida, up here in North Florida. And so I was 19 years old, left home for basic training, go to Texas for 6 months for both basic and then my actual job training. And then I get orders to Alaska. And
Oh God.
yeah, go from one side to the other side. Yeah, it was great. But so while I was up in Alaska, that was the first time I ever experienced hockey.
Oh, man.
And you talk about stadium beers, like they don't have like an NHL team. So like it's not like overpriced or anything. It's just like this little Busch League, little beer league kind of thing. But they're like the step down from the NHL. And those beers, like you said, for whatever reason, that first sip is always like the best.
It is.
Those
So
beers were
crisp.
so cheap too. It was worth it. Like I was like, I'm not hooked on hockey anymore, but like up there, I was like, man, I gotta keep going to hockey games. I gotta like go drink a bunch of beer and then sit there and watch guys fight for however long the game goes on. Like I was like, yeah.
Y'all boys got it down there in Florida too, man. I think y'all have won 6 of the last 9 Stanley Cups out of Florida.
Yeah, between Lightning and then
Between
the
the
Panthers.
Lightning and the Panthers.
Yeah.
Like y'all got it down there in Florida. And then like you sprinkle in there a little bit of like Las Vegas, like Canada's just pissed.
And then we go to the Olympics and just absolutely destroy everybody.
Except for Canada.
Y'all,
damn it.
yeah, it's like all you other leagues. That's what y'all like. Y'all send y'all best hockey players over here, and they come over here and completely dominate the league, and then y'all turn around and like y'all can't score a single goal on us. Like Canada is the only one because that's all they do. It's they work in the summer, which even then that's not very long, and then they just play hockey.
Canada's all about that hockey.
They're all about that hockey.
Make a bet with Roberge over Canada and U.S. hockey. I'm like, I don't know if that's a smart move, dude.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
Even though America's got like 3 players from Canada on their team, still.
I mean, as
Canada is 100% Canada.
So my father's mother is actually French Canadian. So as a descendant from a Canadian, it's like I understand how the Canadians are to an extent, and it's just like, yeah, they sleep, breathe hockey because that's their sport. That's the sport that Canada is known for. Aside for shooting and hunting, things like that, which even then they have obviously stricter gun laws than we do. But the backwoods guys, the ones, which is funny and just a little historical data. I know everybody picks on Canadians like, sorry, eh? They're always saying A. It's the further north. It's like the rednecks are the ones that constantly say A. And any Canadian will tell you that. And as a guy who's driven through Canada to go to Alaska and from Alaska, that's how it is. You go to the cities that are super heavily populated, they talk like us. They may let's slip an A.
They
out
sound
there,
like they're
here
from
and there.
Minnesota at that
Yeah.
point.
I was in Quebec one time, and I was with my dad, and he used to deliver trailers up in Canada a lot. And so we was in Quebec, and I went across the street to this place, and I wanted a coffee. It was early in the morning. And I walk in, and I heard, "Boy," and I was like, God bless you. And she just looked at me funny. I'm like, bonjour, monsieur. And I'm like, oh, you're speaking French, aren't you? So I'm like, do you have any coffee? She says, oui. Went back there and had these little like espresso, like shot coffee I poured.
She gave you
And I
some
went up
rocket
there.
fuel.
Yeah. And she's like, $2. I said, $2? I said, that's just enough to piss me off. And she said, oui. All right, fine.
But yeah, no, like I love the Canadians. Obviously, we got Roberge and Amp.
World's
Great
nicest
dude.
Canadian. Just ask him; he'll tell you.
Yeah.
In my other league that I participate in the most, we have a Canadian there as well, Mr. Mark Owlett, and he's actually he runs an animal rescue up there. Those two are probably two of the nicest Canadians I've ever met. Now, granted, like I said, whenever I went through Canada the 2 times I went, they looked at my ID a couple times, and a lot of people butcher my last name, but it is a French last name. And they're like, Mr. Moquin. I'm like, oh yeah, hey, how's it going? And I'm like, man, y'all got it right the first time. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I felt right at home.
I remember the first couple of times I raced with you, I was like, Mohican Queen? Yeah. What the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah, so...
And then I heard it on the broadcast. I was like, Moquin. Okay, that makes sense. I got it now. I got it down, so...
It's the easiest way I tell people, there's 2 ways I tell people, for the older generation that remember Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. You just add Mo to the front of Quinn. Instead of Doctor, is Mo. Easiest way for the older generation.
If I was a rapper, that'd be my rap name. Mo Quinn.
And then for the younger generation, what's the one thing that everybody's tripping out about? Ibuprofen. Everybody's tripping out about the ibuprofen making people slower in the head.
God,
I heard about that.
What is ibuprofen? It's Motrin. So you take the TR out, you put a QU, Motrin, Moquin.
There you go.
Two easiest ways I've ever explained how to say my last name. But
I love it.
But yeah, Canadians. I love the Canadians. Like I said, it's on my dad's side of the family. His dad's side is from Italy. His mom's side of the family is from Canada. So
French Italian.
Yes,
basically.
Yeah.
God, you really are a son of a bitch, aren't you?
Yeah. So that side of the family. So they're from Connecticut. That's where my dad's from. Is from Connecticut. My mom
French Italian. That means you're real loud and real polite.
Wrong. I'm not. At least the loud portion. The polite portion, yeah. I'm a little on the politer, but I'm a little bit more quiet if I don't know who you are. I've gotten a lot better over the years. You talk
you're
to
Italian.
me.
You can't be quiet.
Try to think of the Godfather if he was French. He'd be as intimidating.
once you get to know me, once I get to know you, like, oh yeah, I'm loud as hell. But if you don't know who I am, I don't know who you are. Like, I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna leave you alone. Like, I'm gonna be
I think I
polite.
remember in season 2. If I remember, I can't remember the track. In season 2, I was particularly awful at racing as well. I mean, I'm just less awful. Still awful, but less awful. God, I wrecked you somewhere. And I was like, oh my God, I am so sorry. And you were like, yep, okay. And that was like the end of our conversation. And like now, we're a couple seasons into this thing. It's like, I know Michael knows me. We were all part of the Toyota Brigade last year. Y'all stuck around. I said no more of that bullshit. And now here we are, and that's the really fun part about this podcast. And I'm not going to speak for RB. Listen, RB and I have talked for well over an hour for the last like 17 Mondays in a row because of Signature's Throwback Series. But the cool thing about this is getting to know some folks that I've raced with you for 2 seasons. That equates to about 18 months worth of time. And I've had good races, you've had good races, we've both had really, really bad races. And it's cool to get to know some people that you don't just jump in Discord with. You know what I mean? Like getting to meet Ethan last week was super cool. That's a tough podcast to follow.
Yeah,
And he was prepared as shit. He had all the pictures. Like
I
that
think
was
the only
so
one
cool.
that'll be better than that one is if he wins again.
Well, if he wins again, it's like no holds. Like
He showed us a bunch of stuff after we were done recording. That was like,
Yeah.
all right, that's the next show.
yeah.
Yeah.
But so you are on what is it? Apex
Apex
1?
Yeah. Apex X.
Apex X1. And you race with Matt, Steven, and Chris Darling.
Yes.
And Chris Darling is one of those new faces.
Yes. Yeah. He's one of the newer faces. He's been around for a little while, but as far as in AMP, he's one of the new faces. Last year, I don't know if you noticed, like the progression of Matt's paints and his wraps. So I started and I did all the team wraps at the beginning of the year. And then slowly as the season progressed, Matt started doing his own thing. And that's when he met Chris, and Chris did his wraps for him. So like his Matt Allen Esports wrap that he had, that purple one that he had last year, that was done by Chris. And so at the end of the season,
that was a good looking car when he wasn't stuffed in the wall. Love you, Matt. Just talking shit, bro.
So that was Matt's car that he ran, that Chris did. And then when Dove left at the end of the season and went to I think that's LPA, I think is where he's running now.
The team.
Yeah. So he's running over there with RB now. He went back to Chevy, which thank goodness, because he just I'm sorry, Dove, but you destroyed our team's points because the 2 or 3 races that you decided you were wanting to drive a Chevy instead of a Toyota like the team was supposed to. Yeah.
What an idiot.
At least he had the right number on the cars. At least he had that. But yeah, bringing Chris on has been interesting. New face, so the adjustment's still there, but he fits in pretty well with us. He's fast.
He is fast. He is raw fast too.
Yes, he's raw fast. The thing is kind of how you said earlier, about how people just was struggling to understand the fall off of the car. That's where he was struggling. Because right after, like, he was great off the rip, but once everything started to go into those long runs, that's when he slowly started working backwards. And
weird, that happens to me every weekend. I wonder if there's a trend there.
Might have to slow down just a little bit.
I pick up 8 or 9 spots on a restart every once in a while, and then I'm like, and then here they all go right back by me. Like, I know if I've passed RB, I know that I am doing too much at this point, and
it was a good thing that Steven Laskowski said in the Gen 6. He was talking about Striker.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, if you're gaining on Striker, you should probably back off.
Yeah. But no, I like Chris's aggression level, and he does it to an extent, and I don't know him, and I haven't had an opportunity to visit with him. So until I genuinely get to have a conversation with him, I'm not going to make my decision one way or the other. He has an element of clean aggression, and I think his clean aggression bites him in the ass and makes it look dirty on a broadcast. I'm not calling him a dirty racer at all. Chris, if you do listen to this, 0% calling you out for being a dirty racer, bro. But I will say that his clean aggression, which I genuinely believe is clean, when the fall off happens, I think that's where he ends up making one of those mistakes that could look bad on a broadcast.
And it's one of those things like anybody else. Like for me, I can speak from my own point of view. When I join a new league, like I have the aggression there, because the thing is like I've played paintball for 20 years, and one of the things that I've learned through that is like aggression is it's essentially genetic, and you can't teach aggression. You can't teach somebody to push harder than what they should be pushing. But you can always bring people, you can wrangle those people in and bring them back. And it's a lot easier to do that than try to push somebody. Like you said, Chris has that good, clean aggression, but he's just he doesn't want to overstep the boundaries and do something that's going to be rash. And I'm sorry, Chris. I apologize for outing you like this. He was kind of upset the first couple races. He felt like everybody was kind of running over him. And again, speaking from my point of view, that's how myself, Matt, and I'll be honest, even Steven felt when we came into AMP in season 2. That's how we felt. Honestly and truthfully, we just felt like we were just getting ran over by Aaron, by Barr, by Davis, by pretty much everybody. And once we realized, no, that wasn't the case, it's just maybe we were pushing a little too hard. And that's when, like, for me, like, you can ask Aaron, because he's said it to me a couple of times, especially like at Indianapolis, where I finished second to him. Just being able to run side by side to Aaron, he's always like, I was always worried whether I was going to push was going to push up into him. But he's like, it's super good, clean, close racing. And I think Chris has slowly learned that, and he's willing to kind of push the envelope. But like you said, the fall off, and now with the new horsepower package on these intermediate and short tracks, it's going to be a whole new learning curve for everybody. So pushing that envelope is going to be a little bit further, and it's going to seem dirty in a sense, because everybody's just pushing that envelope, learning the car, learning how the car is going to handle with that extra power. But all in all, I think he's already figured it out now, 3-4 races in, and he's like, okay, yeah, no, these guys are good. And even last night, he's like, yeah, man, you dominated that race, leading 71 laps of the 133. I would say was pretty dominant.
It was a dominating performance, and my biggest thing, and we've asked a lot of people about the new faces, right? But you're really, outside of like interviewing Ethan, being with DEP, like you're one of the only other people we've interviewed that has one of those new faces, like in a team with established AMP drivers, right? And I'll say this, because I mean, I came in, 5 or 6 races into season 1, ended up finding a Facebook post that Davis had put in one of the iRacing recruitment pages that I follow, and it was at a perfect time where like I had just barely reset up my sim rig. We had just moved into a new place. So I had gotten iRacing in September of 23, and I mean, raced the wheels off of it for well over a month, and I burnt myself out. Because it was every night. I got home, I took a shower, and I was in the sim rig, and I burned myself out so fast. And I was like, you're kidding me, man. I just put, I bought a used computer. I was racing on my living room TV. I built my own sim rig. Like the chair I sit in is a passenger seat out of a 2007 Toyota Corolla, and I had put all this effort in. I got a G920 wheel and pedals, and because everything I'd seen on the internet said that was a great starter, starter wheel and pedals to play with. And when I came into AMP, there was an element of getting ran over for me too. But it was genuinely because I was so far out of my element, coming from just your run-of-the-mill short track official races, that I was a D class when I got invited to participate in this league. I was racing in this league before we were broadcasted. RB remembers that to an extent too, I'm sure.
Oh, like it was yesterday. It wasn't long. I mean, it was only like 3 or 4 races, but
yeah.
So,
but I will say AMP has a way, and I am not a pillar of, what's the word I'm looking for here? I am not a role model for this league. I have made some massive mistakes. I have caused some major issues in this league. And those are on me, right? Like, I have no problem accepting that. I've been very I feel like I've been very open with that, and not just here on the podcast, but in, Discord chats with our people. AMP has a way of humbling you really fucking fast. And
Yeah.
I came into this league and I felt great. And I think my first race was at Old Atlanta. And my God, I was 3 laps down, 23 laps into the race.
Let's talk about Old Atlanta, and we want to talk about mistakes, man. I wrecked the entire field at Old Atlanta, and I was fast. I started on the pole, and then, guess what I did? As soon as we coming to the line to take the green flag, I hit the gas pedal and spun around, and I don't think there was a single car that survived that wreck. I took out everybody, and I felt like shit. And yeah, we just we move on. I've redeemed myself a little bit since then, I hope.
And we do. That's the other cool thing about AMP, right? And I think, Michael, you could probably speak to that too. I don't think there's a single person in this league, other than some of the new folks, that haven't made a massive mistake at this point. That has cost people races, cost people championships, cost people moving on to the playoffs, so on and so forth, right? And nobody, with the exception, I can only think of 1 or 2 people, nobody's been like blackballed. Nobody's been completely 86'd without, we'll call it due process.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit about my iRacing history. I started in January of 2019 is when I first got iRacing. And similar to you, I build computers kind of just for fun and for personal use. But I've also been on the competitive scene of Call of Duty since I was 13 years old. And so iRacing was completely new to me back in 2019 when I first started. And I was like, oh, just like most people looking from the outside in on NASCAR, I was like, it's easy. I'll just stick to the oval stuff. It's easy. Just turn left and we're good. I didn't know anything about racecraft. I didn't know how the cars, I knew how cars work because as a mechanic, I know how cars work. I know what aerodynamics are. Being an aircraft mechanic, I know how aerodynamics work and things like that. So, but I didn't know anything about like tire fall off, throttle response, trail braking, none of that. So like for the first couple months, I was just like going into these rookie lobbies and these D-class lobbies and just was like getting destroyed. And it was mostly due to my own process. And so I took a break. I stopped like midway through 2019, didn't run anymore. Like I completely uninstalled iRacing, went back to playing shooter games. I think I skipped all of 2020, which was when iRacing really blew up because of COVID, which is when a lot of people, even I could probably say with some confidence that some of the people in AMP, that's when most of the people started was in 2020 because of COVID, because, well, everybody's on lockdown. What else is there to do? And everybody on the platform has some sort of love for auto racing, whether it's road course racing with formula cars or sports cars, dirt cars, whatever. It's all there for everybody from around the world. And when lockdown happened, that was everybody's outlet to the outside world, outside of just your social media. And then I think in 21, I kind of found out what leagues were and things like that. And I started doing league racing. And that's when I started noticing progression on my side of learning how to be better and tire management. Now, granted, I was still horrible at it. And then that was at the end of 21. And then 22, that's when I got super heavy back into iRacing. And I started with the Craftsman trucks, running a league and series with that for like 2 or 3 seasons. And then we had a fallout in that league, and majority of us, to include the admin team, left and created our own league and started with that. And we've been running Gen 6s ever since. And that car definitely is one of those cars that if you want to learn about tire management, that is a good car to learn, because that is one of the few cars on the platform, if you're just running fixed setups, has that horsepower difference depending on which track you run. You have those different horsepower packages and things of that nature, depending on the track you run. And that was a good learning curve, because it just, one week you could be running super speedways and the next week you're running a short track that has a little bit more power, and now you're loosey goosey all around the corner. And tire management is where that came down to. And then last season, and I unfortunately had to stop, because if I continued on, I would have hit the iRating cap and went over the iRating cap for AMP. but I started running the setup shop's driver development program. And that's where I really started to learn and perfect my craft. And going back to learning how different people running open lobbies is completely, like open setup lobbies is completely different than running fixed lobbies, because fixed lobbies, everybody's on the same playing field. It comes down to actual skill. Open lobbies are the same thing. So it's either A, you know how to run a car and set up a car, or B, you pay somebody to set your car up, and then you kind of respect how the process works, especially when you're doing results. And I was getting good results in those open lobbies. And I saw my iRating go from, I think I was down to like 1,300 at one point in oval, but I still had an A-class license. And then I'm now up to 2,500 iRating, and I kind of stopped because I was like, well, I'm too busy with work. I can't run late at night, things like that. But that gave me a lot more respect on how cars are set up and how to drive the car. Because you can't, even with open setups, the cars stick a lot better to the track, and it's easier to drive those cars. But at the same time, it's like you do that, you burn your tires off way faster than any fixed setup will ever, because it is stuck to the ground. But you throttle up at the wrong point, there goes your rear tires, and now you're spinning in Las Vegas and taking out the entire field behind you. And after winning a couple open lobbies at super speedways, at those intermediate tracks, I found a new respect. And then whenever I got into AMP, found Brandon Muscarella. When he put the post, like similar to you, found it in a recruiting page for iRacing leagues. He's like, hey, I'm looking for a couple drivers to fill out a team. If you're interested, message me. So I messaged him. He's like, hey, are you under this iRating? Blah, 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 blah. I was like, yeah, man, I'm good. Like I'm not new, but I'm newer. You can look and see I don't have that many starts. I definitely don't have that many wins in officials. So, but at the same time, I'm not here in the league blowing everybody out of the water. And that's a good thing with AMP is it's balanced. It really is. Like as far as driver skill, it's pretty balanced. You got some that struggle. Russ is probably the one that struggles the absolute most out of everybody. And I think if he can get with some people to show him how he should probably drive and kind of give him pointers, I think he could be a really good driver. He's really respectful. He kind of moves out of everybody's way. And
I really genuinely think that's where Russ falls apart the most, is he worries so much about the other people around him that he lifts. Because I think he's with good people. I mean, hell, he's on a team with RB and Ryan Wendt.
That's true.
Like,
that is true.
I think he's with the right people. I think, and I'll be honest with you. I mean, I think everybody in AMP has motherfucked Russ at least twice, but I've gotten to visit with him a little bit over the last couple of weeks. And I really think if Russ just quit giving a shit about other people, I honest to God think the results would follow. I don't know, RB, what do you think?
I think he tries too hard. Really, I think sometimes, I mean, he can go fast. You know, he can run a fast lap like once, and then I mean, when he qualifies, he's usually slower, but he's like a half a second slower than whatever he ran at practice. But I think he tries really, really hard. If you ever see him on the screen, he's got his wheel turned like.
Oh yeah,
his wheel is upside down,
like 270-degree wheel turn going on there. So he's using his shit up.
Yeah, he's got that wheel range way too high.
I tell him he drives like a truck driver, and that's where he enters the turn really, really wide, and especially at places like the quad ovals, like Charlotte. And that's why when you get into the dog leg, he'll hit the wall like 3 out of 4 times. You know, he'll hit that wall because he's just not ready for the turn, and that's what I tell him. He's working on it, but I mean they're bad habits. You know, it's like smoking. You know, tell somebody you got to quit smoking. Okay, well, I'll quit tomorrow. And then tomorrow never comes. You know?
Yeah.
But
no, I think Russ is with the right people. Like RB said, I think he does try really hard. And I tell you, one of my favorite, so I got two of my favorite come ups in this league right now are Clinton Hackett and Mike Daniels.
It is amazing how much Mike Daniels has improved.
I am
season
100%.
so pumped. When he blows my doors off, I'm like, fuck yeah, go Mikey, get him, you know? And my favorite thing about Clint is Clint will blow your fucking doors off and then key up and be like, hey, my bad. for what? You just kicked my ass.
Yeah.
Like
you
he's the
just passed me
nicest.
clean.
Him and Mike both are the nicest Southern boys that you'll ever meet, and they haul ass. And I remember the first couple of seasons with them two dudes, like, all right, where's Clint gonna go? Because I got to figure out where he's going, so I'm not there. And now, dude, like I race with Clint on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And when I see Clint, I'm like, I'm gonna run my car where he's running his car because he's got something figured out. And Clint does the same thing I do. Mike does the same thing I do sometimes. But we'll go in there a little heavy in a groove, like you was talking about earlier. You get yourself in a groove, and then you're like, you know what? I could probably get another 10th right here. And now you're in the wall. Now you got wheel damage. Now you're pissed, and it ruins the rest of your race. And it sucks that it has to happen that way. And that, I think, is the nutshell of Kansas too, right? I think Kansas drives so much different than some other mile and a halves. When you want to run the outside at Charlotte, you can run the outside, haul ass, and never wear your stuff out. When you run the outside of Kansas, you're either going to hit the wall or you're going to burn your right front up. And it doesn't seem to be any in between, my personal opinion, right? And so, but there has been a ton of improvement from guys that have been around for a long time. And it's a lot of fun to see, like I say, it's a lot of fun to see Clint and Mike and some of them dudes, hauling ass, top 10s in tracks that, me and those two dudes used to finish 20th every time we went to one of these tracks. You know what I mean? And so it is a lot of fun to see those dudes running well. Both of them have surpassed me. Not that I was any better than them to begin with, but they are both so much better than I am. And I don't know what they're doing. I don't know how much time they're spending. I got to assume that they're probably out practicing me. They're out efforting me. Like, that's the only way I can assume it, right?
And I think it's come down to a lot of these guys have finally gotten out of their default comfort zone.
I agree.
And they're like, okay, well, I see where everybody's running, and I see how everybody's running, and I am understanding how everybody drives, how individuals drive. And there are some individuals you do want to stay away from. You still want to continue to stay away from. And I'm not going to out anybody on that. But there's some drivers I want to stay the hell away from.
You give me another 2 or 3 beers, and I will tell you exactly who those people are.
I'm not afraid to say it. I just
me either.
I'm just one of those people that I just don't like outing people.
We're maintaining a respect level here, which I can appreciate.
And that's what I
might
try
be
to
interviewing that person next week. So
exactly. And they might say the same thing about me, but because I can speak from it, and it's just once you understand and get out of that comfort zone and understand that and be comfortable running around those guys, that's when you can pick it up. And I think that's some people can do that pretty quick. But then there's some people that just can't, or just they're just too afraid to come out of their shell. And in like Clint Hackett figured that out super early last season. But he's like, well, I'm still a rookie, and I'm not really pushing to be in the playoffs, because my first season it was the same thing for me. Like I'm just trying to fill everybody out, but I figured I filled everybody out pretty quick, and I figured I could run pretty well, but I didn't get no wins, so I didn't go to playoffs. I missed it by points, and it was only by a couple points because I had a couple bad races. And then last season, I had only one win, and it came at Kentucky right after an update. And then I was able to make it through the 16 to 12, and then I'm horrible at road courses, so when Charlotte Roval came up, that was it. I was done. I didn't make the 10. That's the thing. It's like some people, like you said, I think some people are putting in the effort, which I applaud them. If you can put in the time and effort to either run multiple different disciplines, because I will say, like, if you run dirt a lot, you understand how you can run a car, which you understand tire management that way as well. If you throw the car in there too much, you're going around in a dirt car. It's super easy. Where in an oval car, it more likely will stick because it grips a lot better. Dirt,
just burn it up.
Yeah, dirt is it's slick. So especially once the groove wears in, it's just slick. It's just a mud fest, slick. It's easy to spin a car. And if you can understand that, then you can understand the oval side a lot easier.
I said that yesterday during Signature's Sunday Funday Shenanigans series, and I would encourage as many people that can get into that. It's so much fun. But we ran the Gen 4 Arca Legacy car, yesterday at Daytona, and we ran 60 laps. It took me 47 of them to figure out how to steer into a corner because of the track bar and stuff like that. And I'm like, I feel like if you could get really good at this car, you're probably going to get pretty good at a lot of other cars.
Yeah,
And Kolby won that race.
I did win that
Yay,
race.
Kolby.
Yay, good job, Kolby.
Yeah, Mr. Bosvert made sure I won that race. Appreciate you, Bosvert.
But a good real life example, and I say this as a fan, and because you're wearing the hat, and obviously behind me, my nice Hendrick collection, Hendrick and Junior collection back there. Kyle Larson, prime example. Christopher Bell, prime example. Those guys, hell, even Connor Zilic.
Yeah.
No dirt, but he has all that road car experience. And he's won Rolex 24. He's won a Sebring. And then he was able to drive GTP this year, and they finished second, I believe. I mean,
it was the closest Rolex 24 I remember in recent history, because Penske's been kicking that ass for so many years now.
And then SVG understands how to manage tires because of the road course experience. Well, the problem is he just doesn't understand the speed of the ovals yet. Because there's not
driving
much.
a road course is completely different than driving an oval. You drive the car completely differently.
I think SVG's oval is coming. I don't know if he gets an oval win this year.
I think if SVG was able to run a dirt car, he would understand ovals so much easier and so much better.
And he ran some like dirt go-kart stuff.
Yes.
In New Zealand. And SVG, I know a lot of people hate that dude. He's one of my favorite drivers because he gets out of the car and he's just so nice. And when you realize that you have 40 people every single week trying to kick your ass, and then he goes out to, like when they ran Mexico last year and he won the race by like 26 seconds, and he gets out of the car, he's like, oh, it was a great race. The competitors did a great job and everything. And I'm like, bro, if I won a race by 26 seconds, I would get out of that car and put both of my middle fingers up as fast as I could to every other person in that race, right? But he maintains that humility because he goes to an oval and finishes 33rd,
Yeah, because he knows he's struggled. He knows he has a weakness, and ovals are his weakness. And he knows that, and he acknowledges that week in, week out. He's like, it's me. It's not the car. I mean, sometimes it might be the car. There might be something wrong with it, but he's, like you said, he's humble, and he doesn't want to upset his guys who are literally taking time away from their family to be in the garage at the team's garage to get his car set up and ready for that weekend, who put all that time. And even, I mean, it's not even just that week, but they're preparing from the year prior for that race.
And that's his notebook is just getting bigger, right?
And that's the thing. And I think it's going to come for SVG. I mean, he ran pretty well at the Clash.
He did. Especially once he figured out how to use the bumper and found out he wouldn't get sent to the back.
And that's the other thing is like he's again a humble driver, and he's in NASCAR as Southern either connoisseurs of watching the sport, or me who I grew up watching it through my dad. I grew up going to the dirt tracks in Jacksonville and watching racing there. And back then they didn't care. They had sheet metal bodies. They just until the next weekend, they just go in there, beat a couple dents out, and then go back out there with a busted race car and call it a day.
Same car,
reset
the springs, and
then they go and win the race, and it's all beat up and everything else. And that's the thing is like we've become so accustomed to that in the NASCAR world that, I mean, if nobody's ever watched it, I recommend going to Prime Video and watching Earnhardt, the Earnhardt documentary.
I enjoyed that.
Because that explains the sport to a T.
I agree with
that. It started out as a bash in, basically demolition derby, and then that's where the fan base came from. And then as it slowly progressed, now we're in like, oh, I don't know why he's using the bumper and spinning them out and things like that.
Now there's so much fucking money involved and sponsorship and I don't know.
Like, I respect clean racing, but I want to see crashes, man. Like Tony
Stewart
said, he's like
first NASCAR race. Everybody's first NASCAR race, they go to it wanting to see a car folded in half around the inside wall.
Yeah.
Like, that's the exciting factor, right? And then you get into it longer, like a lot like you. I shouldn't say a lot like you. Aircraft mechanic. aerodynamics, thrust, as much as you want to say you didn't necessarily understand like throttle angle, like that little joystick thing that them guys use to start an airplane going forward as fast as it can go, like that throttle position, all that stuff, right? I'm a tire guy. I'm an alignment guy, right? So I don't necessarily understand how the air is coming off the car, and God forbid Larry Mack tries to explain it to me, because Lord knows I ain't learning a damn thing there. But understanding camber, caster, toe,
Tire contact
then
patch.
tire compounds, stuff like that stuff is exciting for me, right? Like I'm a big fan of like, all right, well, hey, you got 7 degrees of camber in that wheel right there? Like really? Like we had a asphalt modified come through our shop here in Kansas the other day. And I'll make this quick. We got to tie this up here pretty soon. But we had a customer come in, had a flat tire on their Dodge Dually, and I was sitting there visiting with them for a minute, and the guy asked me, because I wear a different number 5 Kyle Larson hat to work every day. I mean, I've trashed this hat. He goes, "Oh, you like racing?" I said, yeah, I love racing. He goes, "How much do you like racing?" I says, I do iRacing. I go to at least 1, maybe 2 NASCAR events a year, no matter where I'm at. Like, big racing fan. And he was like, "Oh, perfect." So he pops open the door and he shows me this. They got it was a shell, no motor, no trans, no anything like that. But they have an asphalt modified, SK modified in this trailer, and I'm like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me!" Like, because you look at it and you're like, this is a car that somebody can go out and buy for $15,000-$20,000. Put another $5,000 into a proper race motor, find somebody that knows how to set that alignment up, and you could go to your local short track and run. I'm not saying you're going to understand how it works, but you could go run. You might finish 47 laps down, because Lord knows those quarter-mile bull rings are not a good time. But, like racing is so much fun, and it is such a niche, right? I feel like you can watch the Rolex 24 for the first hour and it's exciting. And you can watch the last hour because you're like, oh my God, they've been racing the same car for 24 hours? No way, right? But when you find that group of fans that likes to sit down and watch a stock car race for 2 to 3 hours and find enjoyment, and I'm trying to think of the right word here, like there is an exhilaration to it, in my opinion. Right. But I'm the first to admit, like I have a deeper understanding of what they're doing with that car than a lot of people do. Right. And that's why Kyle Busch gets motherfucked so much. Right. But nobody knows that he just drove the car, and so God forbid he wrecked Dale Earnhardt Jr. a couple of times. Damn it, Like I'm not the biggest Kyle Busch fan either, and don't get it twisted. I am not a Kyle Busch fan. But I'll tell you what, the guy knows how to take that car that they build him and go put it in victory lane, or at least he used to. I mean, God forbid. But
Well, funny you mentioned him, and it's that whole transition of how NASCAR went from beating and banging in the Tony Stewart, old Earnhardt, basically in the 90s, where everybody's beating and banging off of each other. And Tony Stewart's like, yeah, I wish we wrecked more cars. We should have just halfway through split the cars up and flipped them around, sent half the field one way, half the field the other way, and see who makes it to the end. Like, that's how like a lot of the fan base that are still around.
You know what's funny about that fan base, though? Those are the same people that used to go sit for 4 hours in the stands at Richmond Raceway and watch somebody win by 6 laps. Like, so the new car catches so much shit because it's not a stock car, or it's not fun to drive, or it's not this. Or tell you what, nobody's winning a race by 6 laps,
or coming in with a completely destroyed race car,
right?
Because if you destroy that car, body straight, it's like a Corvette. And I know I keep going on these tangents, but I've actually seen crash photos on the highway here, especially here in Florida. I saw a Corvette smash between 2 semi trucks, just completely pancaked. And then I saw when they got the trucks pulled apart, the car basically went bloop right back to the way it looked. It's that carbon fiber body. And this car, you can beat on the body more than you ever were able to in the past. And it has almost no effect on the car.
Yeah.
But
God you can't drive in on somebody's bumper. You can't do that. Yeah.
God forbid you tap the wall and now your toe link's broke and you're crab walking down the front stretch now.
Right.
But
yeah,
they have to find that balance, and I think they've found a good balance. As much hate as the Gen 7 car gets, the Gen 7 car is the same balance as like it was in the Gen 4s or even the Gen 6s. Even though those had metal bodies, you mess up the aero, look, your car's already set up to crab walk. Now your aero's off, and it's like, oh well, I guess I can't. I guess it's
Can't drive it
having the
that way no
car,
more.
having the car crab walk the way it was. Now, well, I'm done. Like it was balanced, and this car, yes, as much
I
hate.
think
Like,
that this new car seems to reward the extreme setup. If you can keep all four corners on this new car and set it up to go very, very fast in one or two facets of a race, whether it be a road course, short track, whatever. I mean, like, I'll be honest, I don't love the Gen 7 in the super speedway race. It is entirely too easy to save fuel because nobody gets the same kind of runs they used to get. I mean, don't get it twisted. You still get a massive run out of the Gen 7 car, but it happens this fast, and you either have to eat it or take it. And if you take it at the wrong time, I mean, you can see it on our Daytona race. If you take a run at the wrong time and you decide you're going to duck out of line, that hole fills immediately, and now you are going from third to 30th immediately. But anyway, listen, man, this has been a whole bunch of fun. Getting to know you a little bit. Based on the way you ran yesterday, I wouldn't assume this is the last time we talk to you this year, to be honest with you, or this season. So we appreciate taking time. Go ahead. This is the time where we open the floor to you a little bit. Go ahead and shout out your sponsors, people you want to holler at. Go ahead and do that.
yeah, so always first and foremost, gotta shout out Apex for just keeping the team together. Yeah, we rebranded from Muscarella last year. Muscarella is still on board with us through Quicksilver Gaming PCs, Ray Flying Skate Company, obviously Matt Allen Esports, Lakowski Sim Racing, Race Rap Guy. Shout out to those guys, good teammates, all three of those guys. So shout out Chris, Matt, and Steven. Shout out my guys Under Industries, keeping me fitted with most of the clothes I wear, and supporting veterans everywhere. And I continue to try to push that with all of the races I do. I try to push the veterans. Obviously, shout out Signature for always keeping us around and keeping us a good good broadcasts week in, week out. Amp Racing League, obviously, bringing us all together and giving us a good platform to race together. iRacing, obviously, good platform to keep us all having fun, even if we're not having fun on some weekends. And then shout out you guys. I mean, the podcasts have been great, and it's good. Like you said, good to sit down and talk to people who you usually don't ever get to sit down and talk with on a normal basis. Big shout out to you guys and doing this, and it really is appreciative. It's nice to bring this and let people know, both yourselves getting out there, putting yourselves out there, and putting the time into this that y'all have. So I appreciate y'all bringing me on and allowing me to rant, my ADD to kick in from time to time. And I hope to see y'all again. I hope to be on here again at least once, if not twice more, but we'll see how it goes. There's a lot of close racing around here, and it's always good to race with y'all. It's always good close racing when I do get around y'all, even if I do blow your doors off, y'all blow my doors off, whatever it may be. But it's always good racing around here. And again, I can't give y'all enough props for doing this.
Well, this has been a good time, and I like to make it very clear. RB does all of the hard things, all of it. He's the one that sits down and edits this. He's the one that puts it out. He's the one that creates the shorts. He's the one that runs the Facebook page. I literally sit here for an hour to an hour and a half a week and do nothing but talk shit, and then visit with RB through the week on ideas, plans, stuff like that moving forward. He's the person that makes it all happen. So I want to make sure that RB gets his flowers from everybody that listens to this podcast. We are hitting the Facebooks, the shares and stuff like that hard. Anybody listening, if you see something from us on Facebook, please feel free to hit that share button. We are at a point where it is quite literally free to support us. The more ears that hear us, the better. Seeing what we can do to maybe get a little support here, from a sponsorship side of things to grow, to get the most out of the platform we use to cut these things up. And I say we, again, RB cuts these things up, makes them happen. He's the guy that handles the AI. He's the guy that handles all of this. So we appreciate every single set of ears that we get every week. And I want to make sure that's very clear. Those of you that have tuned in and listened to us, it really has been fun. I've wanted to do a podcast for forever, and I never did know what it was going to be about. And then RB came to me and he goes, "Hey, I got this idea. You think you'd be interested?" I couldn't say yes fast enough. I think I responded in like 13 seconds. I was like, yeah. Like, it is an absolute riot, and everybody knows by now that I talk entirely too damn much. My mother will tell you that I've been blessed with the gift of gab, and bless her heart, she's the one that gifted it to me. Shout out to my mom. My shout outs real quick. Stuff at Burgers, Black Creek Diesel, my sponsors, AMP Racing League sponsors. Shout out to AMP for, again, like you said, putting a platform out there for all of us to participate in and kind of develop these relationships, friendships, whatever you want to call them. It is really cool to when I get into a conversation with somebody from here and they bring something up, I'm like, oh yeah, I got a friend that I race with that does that down in Florida or over in Carolina or up in Maine, whatever. It really has created a really cool community, and I think AMP does it as good as anybody when it comes to community and stuff like that. Shout out to Jason. Make sure everybody puts a prayer up for Jason. He goes in for surgery Friday, getting some cancer removed. And without Jason, none of this really sticks, I don't think. I think, unfortunately, I've been a part of a handful of leagues that don't necessarily broadcast, or they try to self-broadcast on Twitch, and it never works. You got a guy trying to be race control broadcaster and racer all at the same time. It don't work. So we really appreciate Jason. I know that I personally have a deep respect for him and what he does because I've seen the way he operates behind the scenes, and I don't know how he does it because I have no talent. I have no talent at all when it comes to I'm lucky I know how to turn this damn computer on and talk to y'all. So, we appreciate all of those people that make us look better than we really are, especially when we're behind the wheels of cars. And with that being said, RB, I'll pass it to you to give us the benediction here, boss.
I think you pretty much said just about everything needs to be said.
I have a
Michael,
tendency to
appreciate
run
you
my
being
mouth
here.
a little bit.
I appreciate you, Michael, for hanging out with us for a little bit. You didn't have to do this, but we wouldn't have a show otherwise, so definitely appreciate it. Yeah, and if there's anybody out there that wants to throw us a few bucks, this isn't free to do. We are open to some sponsorships, and if you wanted to sign on with us, I would be saying your name right now, thanking you for the sponsor. But since you haven't signed up yet, then I'm just gonna leave that blank until you do. There. Anybody else? I think
man, it's been a good time. Thank you, Michael, for your time. And
thanks for having me, guys.
Until next week, tune in Sunday night. God, I don't even want to say it out loud. 7:30 p.m.
Yeah, not this Sunday, but
not
the
this
following Sunday.
Y'all enjoy the Daytona 500 this weekend.
Following
Sunday, Interlagos in a cup car.
Mexico.
So stupid, but we're gonna do it.
We're gonna try really hard.
Well, Brazil.
We're gonna try really hard to make a 3,700-pound stock car go around 270-degree corners. It's gonna be so much fun.
I'm not.
Honestly,
I'm not looking forward to it.
Aaron's probably already got it figured out, and that's why it's on the schedule.
So
Don't
does
get it
Steven.
twisted.
So does Steven.
Yeah.
I can't remember who brought that up. It was one of them two that said, "How about this one?" And the rest of us were like, "No." But
it was 100% Aaron. Let's not pretend it wasn't.
I say kick all road courses out. NASCAR's
I'm
not
with
on
you.
road courses. So
I am with
unless
you.
it's like Sonoma or Watkins Glen where they've been racing for years. Yeah, no. The road course, especially not like road courses that were never designed for NASCAR.
Yeah. Leave those alone.
I
think I will make sure I say this. I think it adds a fun niche. I do, like last year when we ran,
Canada.
What was that? When we ran Canada, we also ran another. Did we run Monza last year?
Yes, Monza, and I was doing fantastic. And if we didn't have the turn one chicane, I would have probably won that race. But because of that turn one chicane, I missed so many people.
Yeah, I did really well there. I think I finished 10th, which, a top 10 on a road course for me might as well be a win. But this isn't a league of moral victories. So anyhow, well, that's all. That's it. That's all. Y'all have a good night. Appreciate your time again, Michael, RB. Thank you for doing all the hard stuff. And we will see y'all. We're going to see y'all next week. I think we got something special in the works to fill the void in the schedule. So y'all stick around, stay tuned. We got something coming for you.